Right, in
We
our group.
are the software we're using right now doesn't quite integrate, but we'd like to go live on LinkedIn at some point in time too. So this software is stuff that you're going to want to look at so that you have multiple platforms that are working for you, because your audience might have one preference over the other. So a perfect kind of segue into our topic today, which is your minimum viable audience. So where are they hanging out? And people do have preferences, even though maybe they hang out on a few different platforms. They do have preferences as to where they like to attend meetings and events and things like that. So we're almost at the top of the hour. Please, in the chat, just put a quick hello, give us a thumbs up, let us know where you're tapping in from, and we'd love to see the variety of people that are coming in. And we know that not everybody. Some people just want to be observers. Some people want to participate, although we always
Just give
encourage
us
everyone.
give us a one if you can see and hear us. So just to make sure, kind of test the technology and
Great
make sure.
idea. There we
Yeah.
go. Jamie, as always, is keeping us on track and making sure things are working. I'm just kind of moving some windows around here, and I think we're on time right now. We're
We
ready
are
to
right
get
up
going.
at the half hour mark, so we'll go ahead and get started.
We'll go ahead and get started. So yes, give us a thumbs up or a one or something in the chat if you can see the slides all right. And obviously, if you can't hear us, then you won't be putting anything in there. But give us a thumbs up if things are working for you. Just give us a one. It's a great way to do that. And welcome to your minimum viable audience, how it can explode your potential and your income faster than you ever thought possible. Great topic, one that we like to talk about often, and is a core element really of what we teach, and one of the core segments in what we teach and what we help people to identify. So let me ask you this question. How many of you fear that if you focus on too small an audience, that maybe you'll miss out? Maybe even miss out on landing, that big client, that one that could make all of your dreams come true. Go ahead and type me in the chat if that's a fear for you, if that comes up. And it's okay to disclose what's going on in terms of your feelings, because that's what we're all here for. So thanks for playing in the sandbox with me and participating. And just to take a moment about this is a core fear that many of us have, is that we think, well, we need to go really big so that we can even just get a handful of people. And that's really kind of a false belief system. In fact, it can be the opposite of that. You know, everyone wants to reach, a maximum audience. We all maybe have visions of grandeur, in terms of becoming an authority. We want to be seen by millions, and we think that that's going to maximize our return on investment, and that we'll have a huge impact when we do that. So what happens is we fall all over ourselves to dumb it down, if you will, to average everything out so that we can capture everyone. We want to please everyone and anyone so that everybody sticks around. But can you see the problem in that? When you seek to engage with everyone, you rarely delight anyone. And if you're not that irreplaceable, essential, one of a kind change maker, you never get a chance to even engage with the market. The solution is simple, but it's counterintuitive. You want to stake out the smallest market you can imagine, the smallest market that can possibly sustain you, the smallest market you can properly and adequately serve. Now, this might go against everything you learned in business school, but in fact, it's the simplest way to matter. When you have your eyes firmly focused on your minimum viable audience, you'll double down on all the changes you seek to make. Your quality, your story, and your impact will all get better. And then, ironically enough, the word will spread. Seth Godin said, obviously, I filled in a little bit of some of the blanks in there, but this quote that you see on the screen is by Seth Godin, and one of Jamie and my absolute favorites. So today, we're going to talk about how to develop a truly irresistible, compelling offer. And you know that minimum viable audience is the only way that you can be irresistible and compelling. We're going to talk about what you need to stop doing and what you need to start doing immediately. And we're going to talk about why going small is actually playing big in this game. So I want to just take a moment to introduce myself. And again, Yep. Okay, we're good. Sorry, I skipped there. Jamie gets mad at me every time I make a mistake. She cracks the whip. But I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Mark Canty, and my company is called Release Dynamics, and my strategic partner is Jamie Scultetti. We work together in partnership. We also have our own organizations. And what I do at Release Dynamics is work with you to help you gain clarity and to release the full potential that I know exists within you as a coach. I've been around for a while. I went exclusively online with my coaching and consulting in 2005. So I've been around the game for a little while. And together, Jamie and I will turn this over to Jamie now to introduce herself, as have worked together now for over 5 years. Is it, Jamie?
Yeah, actually this week, 5
Yeah,
years.
so we partnered up and been working together exclusively over the past 5 years, and it's been a great ride. We really complement each other, and there's just a terrific balance in terms of how we approach business and how we serve each other in terms of what we do. Let me introduce you to Jamie Scultetti.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I specialize in helping professional coaches and consultants to systematize their business, maximize visibility, and attract ideal clients. Quick background about me: I started my company as a virtual assistant where I supported coaches and consultants to help them actually implement and do their marketing for them. Now we kind of take a different approach and we empower our clients and coaches and consultants to know what needs to be done and provide the simplest and easiest path to get it done. So that's a little
Perfect.
bit about me. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe you can see too, as you hear our stories, why it works so well for both of us. Because when you think about it, what I try and do and work very closely with you on is to discover your why, your rationale, and your who you're going to be serving, and how your personal history and everything that you've done to this point in time is perfectly aligned to help you serve those people. Jamie then is the strategist who comes in and is the how person. She pulls everything together and helps us with the systems and the processes to actually bring your message to the marketplace. So you can see the marriage of the two and why it works so well for both of us. We help coaches, consultants, and also we often help people who are in transition, professionals who are in transition, if you will, that may be going from, a professional practice or a corporate environment, an executive gig, the C-suite, any number of things where they've developed natural strengths and skills, but they want to transfer into that and build their own thing. They want to create their own legacy by becoming a coach and building a coaching business, not just becoming a coach. Somebody can become certified and become a coach and go and work for somebody else, work for another organization and make their dream come true. But we focus on helping you build a coaching business so that you can earn full time income doing what you love and doing it without being stressed or bogged down in the day to day drudgery of running a business. So, another question I'll kind of throw in here for you is, how many of you are concerned about that you'll find yourself spending most of your time in drudgery doing things that you don't want to do, in things like day to day business tasks, and missing out on what you truly love to do? Go ahead and give me a one in the chat if that's you and you can identify with that.
Or worse yet, you don't even know what you should be doing. So you're really spinning your wheels and spending your time on things you just don't even know. So you're just kind of winging it. How many
Yes,
of
and
you are that?
next, an excellent follow-up question is, yeah, is just that. As Jamie says, do you even find yourself in that situation where you don't even know what you need to be doing, but you do know that what you're doing right now isn't working and that you're not happy doing it? This is what we do. For over 5 years, we've used what we call the upscale method to help literally hundreds of talented coaches, people who have the skill, who have the wherewithal, who have the strengths and the fortitude to be able to help and serve people. But we transform them into strategic business owners so they can get what they want from their business and they can get what they want from life. And our goal is to do that in the fastest and easiest and most direct way possible. One of those ways is through identifying and clarifying the minimum viable audience. So, the type of people we serve: new and established coaches, consultants, professionals in transition who have a strong desire to make an impact on their world and create a full time income through their own coaching business. So, there's a few things I just want to highlight in there, and then I want to ask you some questions too. Is one, are you interested in creating impact? Two is, are you interested in creating a full-time income? In other words, not a hobby, not something where you're just dabbling in this and you just want to put in a little, like a cottage business where you want to bring in a few bucks, but full-time on your own in a coaching business. So not working for somebody else, but actually creating your own business. So if those are you, then you're the type of person that we're ideally suited to serve. I want to ask you a few questions. Do any of these apply to you? I'm completely satisfied with my life and my circumstances. My work and business performance is sound. Nothing more needs to be done. It's running. I've achieved all I wanted personally and professionally. If any of those statements are true for you, you can probably stop watching. In fact, I believe that you wouldn't even be here if any of those statements were true for you, because nothing we say will be of benefit to you. But if some of those statements are not true for you, then I encourage you to stick around, because you're definitely going to learn something that can help you move the needle for some of those statements, maybe even all of those statements. And that's our goal today, is to make sure that you get an outcome that you're happy with. The other thing I want to introduce you to and let you know about is stay around with us, because we're going to give you an exclusive offer at the very end of this that hopefully is going to make all of this worth your while. And again, we're not going to spend a lot of time here. We're not going to drag on for hours here. We're going to try and be concise and give you some real value. So let me ask you this question. Is making a living as a coach beginning to feel like this? Can you relate to being pulled in different directions and really not knowing what direction is up? Maybe at times, like that squiggly line, you feel like you're moving up. Maybe at times you feel like you're moving backwards. Maybe at times you feel like you're moving sideways. This is very common. This is what we've all gone through in terms of building a business. So go ahead in the chat and give me a thumbs up if you can relate to that. How many of you feel like this when you find yourself trying to appeal to and please everyone? Type yes in the chat if that also resonates with you. Is that something where you feel that squiggly line where you're kind of getting pulled in different directions and you're not quite sure? But Jamie and I have a saying: a lot of people that come to us begin with the idea that, hey, I'll take anybody that has a pulse and a credit card. But isn't that the kind of thing that's going to pull you in different directions when you're trying to appeal and please everyone? And doesn't that make you feel frustrated? Doesn't it kind of leave you wanting something more, something different? What if instead you started out with the smallest group that could possibly sustain you and your work? If you could pick the members of this audience, who would you choose? Their dreams, their worldviews, their energy. Keep in mind, this is all up to you. You get to design it the way you want to. You get to choose who to work with. And I think this is where, particularly people who come out of a corporate environment or working for somebody else in a job as an employee, sometimes get stuck on this point, is they think that there's a right way or somebody else's way of designing their business, when in fact, the choice is up to you. So think about these things. Maybe make some notes right now and jot these questions down. If you could pick them, if you could pick that group and you needed to delight them because you had no one else available, just that group, would your program, would your service improve? I suspect that it would. If you had no choice but to ignore the naysayers, by the way, they're not going to be in that group, right? You're not going to choose to put them in that group. But if you had no choice but to ignore those naysayers and put those to the side, or the people who don't think they need you, or they don't think they need your work, would that force you to stop compromising and just start excelling? I believe it would. So when you think about it, if you take this approach and you look at the minimum viable audience as well as other parts of your business, would you agree that doing these things would get you moving from A to B a heck of a lot faster instead of doing the dance, instead of trying to please everyone? It's a critical thought process, and it's the foundation of the minimum viable audience. So how many of you believe if you truly understood your audience, it would be much easier to create an offer that they would find irresistible? Go ahead and type yes in the chat if you agree with that statement. And again, thanks for participating and for playing in the sandbox with us. So to develop a truly irresistible, compelling offer, you need to invest time and you need to become a student of the conflicts that are occurring in your customer's world. What do we mean by conflicts? Well, those are the goals that they can't attain or the problems that they've identified that are standing in their way. When you design a process or a solution that is superior to other options and eliminates any negative side effects, then you will have an irresistible, compelling offer that no one can refuse. So, how do you do this? Well, one of the first things you need to do is stop thinking in terms of what you do. Stop thinking in terms of your deliverables. Stop thinking in terms of your program or all those things that you've outlined. And instead, start thinking in terms of problems, and specifically big problems that you solve and ways to help your customers get what they want in the fastest, easiest way possible. Do this, and your customers will not only flock to you, they'll be forever grateful. They will thank you and see you as an indispensable resource, a partner in their success, if you will. Sorry, did I skip a slide there? I did. By the way, those of you who have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. If things are bubbling up for you, capture them now. Put them in the chat so that we can capture them as well. And we'll address them a little later or at an appropriate time where they fit in. But don't let them just ruminate. Go ahead and anytime, feel free to participate and jump in on the chat and let us know what's on your mind. So when we talk about the minimum viable audience, this is the who that we want to identify. And we kind of go on a quest for this, right? It's a search, if you will, that needs to happen. And let's play a little game here. I want to tell you a little story that I actually read in a book, which I thought was brilliant. So the story was about a marketing professor, and he walks into his classroom and he says to everyone, we're going to do a little quiz here today. And he asks this question: if you were going to open a hot dog stand, and you could have only one advantage over all other food vendors, what would it be? Let's see if I can get my slides going properly here. So go ahead, play with me, jot down in the chat, if you will, what ideas that come to mind. Jamie, you and I played this game before, and
Yeah.
you've heard many answers to this question. What sort of answers do you hear people come up with?
Well, I came up with mustard and sauerkraut.
Mustard and sauerkraut. There we
Yeah, I mean,
go.
we've had answers like, being kosher or, just different toppings, what would give you the advantage? What are the different things that people would choose you over somebody else? So all kinds of those kinds of answers we've received.
Yeah, so everybody that we've ever asked this question to tends to focus on the product, right? So just like Jamie said, something unique, like, oh, I'll make mine a foot, an inch longer than the other ones. I'll do foot longs instead of regular ones. I'll do organic, grass-fed beef. I'll have the lowest prices. I'll be the cheapest vendor around, so everybody will come to me instead of paying more to maybe buy a burger or fish and chips or something like that. They might focus on quality of their product. I'm going to have the very best taste. I'm going to go to the best butcher in town and have a custom made, sausage or something like that. So the bottom line here is that, people in this particular story, the students keep going until eventually they run out of answer. And then, once they've run out of answers and they look at each other and they kind of look at the professor and they say, what's the answer? And again, I got to see if my slides are going to work properly here. So the professor smiles and he replies with one very simple 3-word answer. He says, a starving crowd. In other words, you could have the worst hot dogs in the world. They could be awful. They could be shriveled up. They could be small. They could be really expensive. Maybe you're even in, a bad location, like you're stuck in a parking lot somewhere. But if that parking lot happens to be in a football stadium where all of the locals are watching a college football game and they break out, guess what? You're going to sell out of whatever you've got in your cart. That's the value of a starving crowd. So think about that for a moment in terms of your audience. And my screen's deliberately blank here because I want you to have a blank mind and to start with a clean slate. What is the audience that's starving for what you have to offer? So instead of thinking about your offer, start thinking about them. What are they starving for that you can help provide? What are the hot dogs or the veggie burgers or the amazing fish and chips that you have in your basket that if you just find people who are starving for that particular thing, they will beat a path to your doorway. Let's just pause for a minute and think about that. Now I want to talk about the idea of why we want to be tight, why we want to have a minimum on this. And that's this great quote by Marianne Williamson. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so others won't feel insecure around you. As you let your own light shine, you indirectly give permission you give others permission, sorry, to do the same. So what I'm referring to here is not having a huge playing big in terms of wanting to go after millions of people, but I'm talking about playing big and being bold in terms of what you're offering. So a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm just, I'll just offer to work with them for an hour and maybe help them." So they charge a small fee for an hour, or maybe they even give it away for free. But the problem is when you're thinking small, you're going to get small results, and chances are you're not going to attract anyone. So I want to encourage you to do a couple things. One is be bold. Remember, when you seek to engage with and please everyone, you rarely delight anyone. So be bold and call out those real hot buttons. They're going to make people think. Jamie and I often talk, one of our favorite clients, when the light bulb went off and she created her offer to her specific audience, and then she asked a few of them what they thought. And one of her clients, prospects actually at the time, said to her, "Ooh, I feel like you just punched me in the gut." And that's what I mean by not playing small. Play big in terms of go after big problems, go after big issues. If you've got something that literally feels like a punch in the gut when you say it, you know you're on the right track. Now, you need to find that. So don't be romantic about your audience. Serve the people who really want to pay you what you're worth. And this is the other part of not playing small. Play big. And we're talking about finding solutions and problems that have very high value so that you can then present your services in a high value format. In order to sell anything, you need demand. So we're not talking about trying to create demand. That's really either impossible or a very hard road. We're talking about trying to channel demand. And that's a very important distinction. If you don't have a market for your offer, nothing else will work. So you've got to find that starving crowd. Let's talk a little bit about that starving crowd and how to find it. Right, my slides are a little, I hope this doesn't skip on me. Jamie, are you still seeing how to find a
Yeah.
starving audience?
Yep.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yep.
But it's not moving. Why is it not moving? Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hang in there with me. I'm
Oh,
just going to do it manually. There we go.
oh, there we
Why
go.
that didn't work.
Perfect.
There was a little glitch there. So what to look for? So these are the specific things. Again, if you're taking notes, I encourage you to write these things down. One is you want to look for massive pain. It's not about them just wanting what you have to offer, but desperately needing what you're offering. Pain can be anything that frustrates people about their lives. Being broke is painful. How do I not be broke anymore? Having a bad marriage or a failing marriage is painful. Waiting in line for anything is painful. So what are those things that are painful? Back pain, being overweight is painful. The reality is as humans, we suffer a lot. So for us as entrepreneurs, endless opportunity really abounds when you start to think of it this way. Now, the degree of the pain will be proportionate to the price you will be able to charge. When they hear the solution to their pain, and inversely, what their life would look like without the pain, you want them to be drawn to your solution. And you want them to be drawn to it in a big way, like literally a life-changing way. Number two is purchasing power. And sorry, I should have had these broken up, Jamie. I know you like it when they come point by point. I didn't do that on this slide, and I apologize that because it can be confusing. But try and hang in there with me and stay with me because I know you're probably reading. Those of you who are watching are reading quickly ahead. But let's stick with number two right now: purchasing power. Your audience needs to be able to afford the service you're charging them. Make sure your target audience has the money or access to the money that they need to buy your services at the prices that require you to make it worth your time, that make it worth your while and provide a living for you. If you don't, then you're going to find that you're always frustrated and you're always feeling resentful of your market. Easy to target is the next segment. let's say you have a perfect market, but no way of finding the people who want what you're offering. Sorry, I should say the perfect offer, really, the perfect product. But you have no way of finding the people you want what you're offering. Well, making an offer, that'll be pretty much impossible. It'll certainly be very difficult. So make your life easy by looking for easy to target markets. And we talked a little bit about those before. The fourth thing is a growing or stable market. Growing markets are like a tailwind. They make everything move forward. They make everything move faster. Declining markets are like a headwind. You're always, up against resistance. So, some examples of a declining market would be, I don't know, trying to sell CDs, right? There's a market that's in decline. So what's moving forward? What is a market that's growing or at least stable that will be there for a long time? Okay. Now there's three main consumer markets that will always exist. These are stable, stable, stable. They're health, wealth, and relationships. Those are three consumer markets that will never ever go away. They'll be growing at a faster rate, at times a slower rate, but they're certainly stable in terms of they're always, always, always around. They never shrink, and sometimes they grow. At the very least, they stay stable. In the business market, revenue and profits. It always boils down to the bottom line, doesn't it? So when it comes to what somebody in business wants, you never hear of a business saying, "I want to make less money." You never hear a business saying, "Yeah, I'd like to have more losses." No, it's always revenue and profit. So that's this idea of look for markets that are growing and stable, because sometimes, if you have the best thing in the world, it's not necessarily going to work. There's a story that I'll just dredge from my memory about the idea of build a better mousetrap, and somebody actually did create a better mousetrap, but it didn't sell. The guy went bankrupt because the existing market wasn't growing and everybody was happy with the way it could be done at the price that it could be done. So there's an example of one. So the reason that these markets, by the way, coming back to these consumer markets of health, wealth, and relationships, and in business, revenue and profits are always exist, is because there's tremendous pain when you lack any of these things. Think about that. If you're in trouble health wise, or you're financially wealth wise in trouble, or your relationships are in trouble, or your business is suffering from low sales or revenues or poor profits, there's tremendous pain when you don't have those things. So there's always demand for solutions to cure these pains. So the goal is to find a smaller subgroup within one of those larger buckets that's actually growing and has buying power and is easy to target. So think about those things. And I want to give you some other tips too right now, just on the easy to target things. Think about things like, we call it your avatar. Think about things like demographics and psychographics. So demographics are easy. We know what those are. Psychographics are the way people think and feel. They're relatively easy to find. You can do research around that. Think about things like job titles. Think about geography. We call it geo-targeting. You can get a tremendous amount of information by being in Facebook groups, just like you are here. You're going to learn a lot based on what people are commenting and saying. You can also look at associations and what's happening in certain associations within your particular subset of the market. If your potential customers are all gathered somewhere, anywhere, then you can market to them. If searching them out, however, is like finding needles in a haystack, then it can be very difficult to get your offer in front of any potential or potentially interested eyes. So remember, you want to be able to find people that are gathering somewhere so that you can easily get in front of them.
Also industry. I know
Yes.
you talked about associations, industry too.
Yes. So
Yep.
long list of things that
Yep.
are very easy to quantify. So before I go any further, let me just do a check-in with you. How many of you, before we started today, that thought about, well, I need to be broad. I need to go after everyone. I can help everyone. There's one thing about helping everyone. There's another about trying to market to everyone. But how many of you thought that, hey, if I just go after everyone, surely I can land someone? Again,
Yep.
let me know if that's you. And now let me know if I've shifted your thinking a little bit. Let me know, give me some feedback here. Let me do this little acid test, this check-in, this temperature check, to see if now you realize that focusing on a minimum viable audience will help you achieve your goals much faster. Because isn't it easy to have an excuse, when when we're going really broad, then we say, well, I'm going after millions of people, so it's going to take me longer to get somebody. It really just becomes an excuse and a crutch, doesn't it? So when you focus in and you start to really go after and you think strategically, this is what we're talking about. The most successful, the most talented coaches in the world aren't just talented coaches. They actually started first by transforming, by becoming strategic business owners first, so they can get what they want from business and from life. And then they figure out how they can do that in the fastest, easiest, and most direct way possible. And that's exactly what we do for people. That's exactly how we want to help you get there. So thanks again for participating with me in the chat. I appreciate that. Now, oh, my slides are going funky again on me. Sorry. Little glitch. I don't know, Jamie, maybe it's this software that we're using. There's a little delay on my screen versus the other. But we want you to mark your calendar. We want to pause for a minute and just talk about this, is that we do this every Thursday at 2:30 Eastern time, 11:30 Pacific time. And this is the type of content we talk about. Obviously, we look forward to a Q&A. We want you to participate and to hammer us with questions so that we can help you really solve and dive deep. But we also want to just give you value right up front. And I hope that we've given you that in terms of notes you can take and actions you can take right away. Some of the things that we'll be talking about, and we do talk about, our strategies around client attraction, pricing and packaging, creating your compelling offer, going deep into that. What does that look like? The psychology of selling, and more and more and more. It's almost an endless list. So we want you to mark your calendars and make sure you're also going to get important updates and announcements on what's working for us when we're testing things. For example, right now we're very deeply embedded into a whole cycle of studying advertising, paid ads online. And before we take anything to our clients, we make sure that we figure out all of the subtleties and all of the pain points and things for us. And we literally spend thousands of dollars doing this so that we can figure out what's working and what's not, so that then we can provide valuable information to you. So that's just another example of something that we'll be talking about. We're studying two things right now. One is the whole paid ads formula. How do we attract more people on a consistent basis and pre-qualify them, if you will, so that we're talking to the right people and we're not filling our calendar with people who aren't the right people. And the other thing that we're studying right now is Facebook groups. We're studying groups in general and how to build community, how to build tribe, if you will. So those are things that we'll be teaching you and we'll be passing on through this particular venue. Sorry, I skipped again. So one of the things we want to encourage you to do is that you don't miss any of that, is sign up for our VIP notification list. So if you go to upscaleyourbusiness.com/VIP-list, makes sense, then you can opt in to become a VIP. And for that, you get notifications of any lives that we're doing so that you don't miss them. And then you'll also get reminded when we put up a recording of something that maybe you did miss. And as a special thank you gift for this, we're going to send you a webinar that we charged for in the past. It's called Your Ideal Coaching Career. In fact, we have that as part of a bundle right now and a program that we are marketing. And so it is a paid program, and you'll get that as a free gift. So you'll really enjoy that. A lot of people have been through that and really find it extremely valuable in terms of getting clarity on what they want their coaching career to look like. So I want to encourage you to do that. So again, upscaleyourbusiness.com VIP list is the place to go to make that happen. Now, sorry, I'm skipping again. Let me know, again, a little bit of feedback here for you. If you got value and you want to find out more about your minimum viable audience and how to identify that, or just to find out generally how we can help you do that and many more things, please type impact in the comments section. Now, you may already, you may be seeing this live, or maybe you're seeing this later at another point in time inside the group. We're always active. We're always monitoring all of these things. So be sure to just leave the word impact in the comments section, and we'll get back to you. We'll send you some information so that you can find out more about creating a minimum viable audience and how to build a business. The other thing that I want to point out to you too is in the sidebar, Jamie has graciously just put up a little link there that, if you're ready and you're thinking, I want to take my business to the next level. It's not where I want it to be, and I really want to dial it up. I want to get it cleaned up. I want to get it moving. I want to build momentum. We have a limited number of spots for our upcoming program. We typically only take on 5 clients at a time. So if you're serious about making more money working with your ideal clients, if you're serious about identifying your minimum viable audience, get with us, set up a call with us. We're going to lay out a game plan with you and we'll talk about it. And one of the things we want to promise you is if you know us at all or you've seen our recordings, Jamie and I are not into BS. We're not into slippery sales tactics or pressure or anything like that. We always, always, always want you to have value from any interaction and conversation that we have. So we're going to make sure that you have a game plan moving forward. Whether that game plan includes us or not is another story. At the end, we'll discuss that. We'll see whether there's a fit, whether it's going to work for both of us. If it is, great. Then we'll look forward to bringing you on as one of our clients and we'll work with you hand in hand. If not, you're still going to come away with some exceptional value. Now, before you think that I'm going to end this call right now, I'm just filling in some blanks here for you. I do want you to stick around because I want to put this concept of minimum viable audience into context. So a lot of us tend to build businesses by jumping around and kind of like throwing stuff in a basket and hoping that all of that basket is then going to become a massive, beautiful, first-class meal on the table. And of course it doesn't. These are just ingredients. And if we just continually collect ingredients, but we don't know what order to put them in, what quantity to put them in, then we just end up with a real mess that doesn't taste very good. It might not even make it to the frying pan. So I want to put this in context for you. And what I mean by that is there's a deliberate process to making these things work. There's a deliberate time that we start to talk about minimum viable audience because some things need to be in place first and then things will come after that. So it's like this path, it's like this roadmap that we've got showing here right now on this slide. It's like going from maybe being that person that's pulled in all sorts of different directions and throwing stuff in your cart and not knowing how to mix it all up and make it taste great, to the other end, to the transformation that you want to provide for you, which is being that business person that has it together, that business person that's strategic, that knows where they're going. So in this particular instance, I want to put this particular idea of the minimum viable audience into context in our roadmap in terms of where this lesson fits in. Where is it in the big picture of where we take you in terms of creating the business that you want? And where it fits is, sorry, I'm skipping again, is it fits into phase 1 of our program. So that's step 2 of our 9-step upscale method. And you'll see here the what, the who, and the how. And I'm going to go back a minute here. I know this is going to drive Jamie crazy. But down here, you'll see in phase 1 of the clarity, step 2, this is where we start to go into minimum viable audience and your clear, compelling offer and how we pull all that together. But you'll see there's step 1 here first. You can't really get to step 2 until you lay a proper business foundation. So we start there with you and make sure that we've got your lifestyle that you want to go for, and then your business design in such a way that's going to help you achieve that lifestyle at a broad sense before we dive deep into the who, the what, the who, and the how. Okay, so this is where that fits in terms of context. So if you want to learn more about that, then let us know. Again, if you're ready to implement, a proven, step-by-step method for consistent client attraction so you can expand your impact and increase your income without being inauthentic or pushy. And I hope we haven't come across as being inauthentic or pushy, because that's not how we operate. Book a strategy, book a game plan session with us. And again, there's the link for that. And also it's in the sidebar too. So upscaleyourcoaching.com/game-plan. If you want
upscale your business,
bring together a specific plan.
Upscale your business. You said upscale your coaching business, but in this case, it's upscaleyourbusiness.com.
I'm sorry. I see. There you go. I'm always calling out the minimum viable audience. Not any business. It's a coaching business. So upscaleyourbusiness.com. Thank you, Jamie. And of course, it's in the sidebar too. So you can click that to get your game plan. And again, we want to chat with you about what your business looks like right now, where there might be gaps, and if and how we can help you. And that's really important, is we're not about pushing things on you that you don't need. If we're able to look at your business and say, man, you've got it really going here, you just need a few tweaks, we're going to tell you what those tweaks are, and we're going to wish you well, maybe even invite you to one of our mastermind groups or something where we can learn from you and we can learn together. Or we're going to maybe find other gaps that maybe require a little more hand holding. Maybe there are gaps where you can say, yeah, you know what? And we'll tell you this. We can say, here's how to do it. Go here. It's going to take you 2 years. It'll probably cost you about $50,000. That's how long it took us and what it cost us. Now, in all seriousness, you're probably smarter and faster than we are because we're not that smart. We're not that fast. Maybe you can do it in a year and it's only going to cost you $25,000. Or maybe you want to work with us and do it for a fraction of that price and in a fraction amount of the time so that you can learn from the mistakes that we made, the stumbles and the falls and the trips that we made so that you don't have to go through those pitfalls, that you can learn from our experience and you can learn from us about what is working because that's our goal. Our goal is to get you there in 90 days, not 2 years, but 90 days to what has taken us 5 years to accumulate in terms of knowledge and expense and experience, and to continue to move forward and always create new things and new ideas. So once again, I just want to throw this out there for everyone. If there's any questions or comments, please throw those in the chat. We're happy to address anything that's bubbled up for you, any questions you have, specific or broad. Go ahead and throw those in the chat and we can talk about those right now. If not, then we've given you a ton of stuff. I hope you've taken some notes and that you're seriously already thinking about how you're going to work on identifying your minimum viable audience and figuring out where that needs to fit in your business plan. So we'll give a moment here. Jamie, any follow-up comments? I'm sure there's things whenever we go through these trainings, there's always stuff that both of us like to chip in and participate.
Yeah. I do have something to share. So when we think of marketing our business, I know we all like to think, if I just cast a wide enough net, if I just have a really big audience, then I'll catch a few fish. And that's really all that I need. And really, I always tell people from a marketing standpoint, if you don't have a minimum viable audience, you're just like everybody else out there. You're just playing into the competition. When you are in that place where you are your own competition, if you will, people are just going to flock to you. So, and I always say it again, just from a marketing standpoint, it's so important that you have a minimum viable audience. Don't play in the big net arena.
Critical. It's so critical. And, there are, and sometimes people say, well, look at this company, look at that company, how successful they are. Yeah, well, they're successful companies that are worth millions and millions of dollars and have an entire floor